The Disney that never was. We have a fantastic member picked topic today. The Disney that never was. What would the Italiano and I want to bring to Disney? Canceled projects, whatever it could be. You know, it could be the Western River Expedition. It could be Westcot. It could be whatever it is. We're going to talk about it up next on OG Biddy. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. So, if you are an OG55 member of the channel, we do these member pick topics very, very often. Basically, what this is that if you're a member, you submit a topic and we dedicate an entire video to your topic, guaranteed. It doesn't matter how many we got in there, we do them all. We got like 20 to go through. So this is, I think, the number 2 now on the list. We got quite a few to go, but it's a great little thing for members. So if you are not a member, consider being one, and you can pick a topic and we'll do a whole video dedicated to it. Today's member topic is the Disney that never was. What would George and I want to have built at the Disney parks, canceled projects, whatever. George, before we dive in, where can everybody at home find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And definitely keep an eye out, folks, for the first ever full length vlog coming to Citrico Central very, very soon. OG and I will be on location really soon at the parks, and we think we have some topics that you will find very sweet but sticky.
Yeah. No, we're taking the at least for the first couple videos, we're taking what we do here on OG55 and we're bringing it on location to the parks on George's new channel, Citrico Corner. So a walk and talk kind of situation, but it's gonna be a really, really good time. So look out for that. And in the community tab, you'll find Citrico Corner, the link to that. So make sure you go and check it out and subscribe. Okay, let's dive right into our topic, our member topic. And we want to thank Mouseword Bound for becoming a member. We do appreciate you, Mouseword Bound. I always see you in the live chats, and you bring a lot of support to the channel. We do appreciate you. Thank you so very much. Mouseword says, how about this topic? Disney that never was, but could be. See, I love this. I absolutely love this. What is an old, never built concept, a land, ride, attraction, and even a park that you would dust off the cobwebs? Shout out to Mr. Webber, cobwebs, and bring back, but it has to be themed to a modern day IP. Which concept would you bring back, and which IP would you theme it to, and why? Example: Mineral King, Westcot, Discovery Bay, Beastly Kingdom, Museum of the Weird, the Muppet Great Movie Ride, the Western River Expedition, just to name a few. It's an idea. Maybe it's too nerdy. Let me know what you think. Mouseword Bound, there is nothing too nerdy for OG55 crew. We will dive into all the juicy nerdy topics, but let's go ahead and dive into this, George. What would you dust off, George? What old concept that was never built? What would you want done, basically?
So for me, actually, it's quite interesting that they titled this "The Disney That Never Was," because I remember one of the first couple years of becoming a D23 member, that was one of like the topics that Disney kind of honed in on to its members. And I remember receiving my yearly membership gift, and it was a calendar, a 12-month calendar. And I think it was titled The Disney That Never Was or something or other. And each month had a picture of a project that was supposed to be but never became created, and I thought that was very interesting.
Nice.
One of those projects was supposed to go in Epcot, and it was Mount Fuji. And I just thought that was kind of interesting because when I saw the concept art, it was like this huge, no volcanic mountain and what have you. And I thought, wow, to actually see that in person, that would look really cool. I know,
Yeah.
like at Tokyo Disney Sea, they have their own variation of like a volcanic mountain and what have you. And I think that would have fit nicely into Epcot because it would have been something natural but organic, and it would fit into the culture, of the location of where, Mount. I think I said Fee. I think Mount Fuji. Excuse me, Mount Fuji. And if I had to tie like an IP, maybe not it actually be Mount Fuji in the same aspect, but I would do maybe something of Moana, like do like an island kind of attraction where you have like the islands and maybe like a volcanic mountain, sort of like the where her and Maui go to the top into the realm of the monsters kind of thing. So if I had to type put like an IP tied to that, I would do something of that nature, but I would put Moana onto it.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Now, do we know what kind of attraction it was supposed to be? This
It was
mountain.
supposed to be a roller coaster.
So it was probably going to be like Epcot's answer to like the Matterhorn or something along those lines.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And then they went with Everest, which is a fantastic attraction. I loved Everest, and I'm not really a coaster guy, but that one really wasn't too crazy for me. I actually had a lot of fun on Everest. So now I have quite a few here that I would love. Number one, and this is no secret if you've been a fan of the channel for a long time, I'm a huge advocate for Westcot because I'm a West Coaster, baby. Yeah. You know. Yeah, West Coast, baby, all day. No, but I do love Westcot. I think it's an awesome concept. I think it would be a great third gate for Disneyland Resort. I've said it before, that World Showcase concept would work really, really well here in California. We have a huge locals fan base out here, and all the festivals, the drinking around the world, all that stuff would just, I think, be so complimentary to the locals. I mean, the key holders would go nuts for stuff like that. So Westcot would be a perfect park, a third gate for Disneyland Resort. Obviously, you would put it in a Toy Story lot. Yes, there's plenty of acreage there for a Westcot style park. Contrary to what a lot of fans think, it is not going to become Disney Springs West. I can assure you, Disney is not going to squander 75 plus acres on a shopping mall. I assure you that it will be a third park eventually. Probably not Westcot though. But Disney, if you watch, Westcot would be a moneymaker. Now, obviously, Mouseward Bound is I think has the right mindset here with the IP. I know a lot of nerds in our space, they don't like the IP, and I understand that. I get it. I absolutely get it. But that is the world we live in. The soccer moms, the normies, want the Elsa ride. They want the Spider-Man ride. They want, the Woody and Buzz ride, right? So you have to have an IP. So with Westcot, you're going to have the various continents. I think Westcot was continents, not countries. But you can do, for Asia, for example, you have many options there. You can do Raya the Last Dragon. You can do Big Hero 6. You can do Mulan. You have a lot you can kind of work with. I mean, technically, yeah, you have quite a bit there. You can also do for like, Europe. You can do your standard, Disney fairy tale fare, basically. You can do your Frozens, your Tangleds, your Little Mermaids, right? You can do those. Africa, obviously, you can do Lion King, which would be really, really dope. So there's a lot of potential here. You just do the various continents, right? You can put corresponding IP in there. And I think it would be a huge moneymaker for Disney. I think this would be the park to do. I don't know why. Well, I do know why they didn't do it the first time, but I hope they revisit this idea because I just think it checks all the boxes in what Disneyland Resort would need for a third park. But that's just my opinion. But what say you, George? Would you be down for a Westcot now that you're a West Coaster?
Actually, yes, I would, because especially spending the more times in the park that I have been recently, and especially paying attention to DCA in particular. DCA right now is the park to go to for all these events and festivals. And literally, they just ended Lunar New Year, where they have like all the Lunar New Year decorations. They have the Turning Red characters out. They have Mulan and Mushu in the parade. They have all the booths for the food and everything. And now they're transitioning to food and wine. And it only gave literally a 10-day breather for DCA to go from Lunar New Year to food and wine. And now that DCA, eventually part of Disneyland Forward, is going to get a major expansion with Coco, with Pandora, possibly Zootopia. Like, the sky's the limit of what can go in that Simba lot. I feel like that the park will then become of what you refer to it as a cinematic adventure. And I feel like it would start kind of downgrading the festivals in a way, because it's going to be so jam-packed with the new stuff already.
Right.
Eventually, I think Disney should start looking into the possibilities of where else could they put these events and festivals. Well, as you said, if you look at Epcot, it's a year-round like festival park. Like, so
Right.
Westcot would be perfect. I mean, Disney would have the triple threat right there.
Well, yeah, you're going to have the whole Asia section over there at Westcot. You can definitely throw a crazy Lunar New Year celebration. It'd be amazing over there. All these festivals you can do, it'd be really, really cool to see that. And like I said, I mean, you know, Walt Disney World, they have some locals, absolutely. Shout out to all our friends in Florida, our fellow Disney nerds in Florida. You know, there are locals out there for sure, but it's not like out here in California. I mean, Disneyland Resort has a lot of locals, and I'm telling you, these key holders and stuff would go absolutely nuts for like all these festivals, the drink around the world stuff. I mean, you can do so much.
Festival of the Arts.
Festival of the Arts. You know, you can even have just brand new festivals if Disney can come up with some new ideas for this stuff. You know, holidays around the world or something would be kind of cool. You know, well, they have Festival of the Holidays at DCA, right? Something like that at Westcot on a larger scale would be really dope. So Westcot's where it's at for me. Now, another one that I want to bring up, and this isn't technically a new attraction, mouse word. It's an old attraction, but it's a canceled angle to the attraction. Initially, when they created the Indiana Jones Adventure, the show building with the suspension bridge and the giant skull face thing, right? With the laser eyes. Pew, pew. No relation, by the way, to the anti-woke thumbnails on YouTube. The laser eyes on Indiana Jones Adventure is not related to that. No, but in all seriousness, that show building was supposed to house multiple attractions at once. The Jungle Cruise was supposed to go through that show building. The Disneyland Railroad was supposed to go through that building. A new minecart attraction was going to go through that building, including the Indiana Jones Adventure Jeeps. So this thing was going to house like 4 attractions in one show building. So every time you rode the railroad or the minecart or, you know, the Jungle Cruise, you got a different perspective of the attraction. I think that's super dope. I think it adds a lot of kinetic energy to the attraction itself. Imagine if you were on the Jeeps going over that suspension bridge and then you see off to the distance a Jungle Cruise boat go by. I mean, this is sick stuff, man. This is really, really cool. This was actually on the table. This is something they actually considered. And from what I heard, they canceled it because logistically it was going to be too difficult. But if they can, Disney, if you could somehow pull that off, I would love to see that come back. What say you, George?
That would be a very daunting task, but that would be one epic task, to say the least, because to have 4, not even just 4 attractions, but 4 very different attractions. You have one that's on water, you have one that's on rails, you have, well, technically you'd have 2 on rails because the other one would be a roller coaster, and then you have the Jeeps themselves for Indiana Jones Adventure. So you would have 2 indie attractions plus the intertwinings of the Jungle Cruise and the railroad, where obviously in the railroad it would give like the spiel of saying, you know, you're passing through a great adventure starring Indiana Jones and everything.
Right.
I think it would have been really cool.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. And not too many fans know that was actually being considered, but that is something that I think would have added so much to that attraction. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And the difficulties were that if one of those attractions would go down, all four would go down.
it would make a problem. Yeah, it would make a problem. So that was one of the logistical hurdles they had over there. Now, George, do you remember a little something called the Disney Decade?
Yes. Oh
The
yeah.
Disney Decade. We were promised so much and got so little. It was so underwhelming. But there was also there was attraction there themed to the great franchise of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Baby Herman's Baby Buggy something, right? It was like a roller
Baby
coaster.
Herman's Baby Buggy something, yeah.
Something, right? I'd like to see them bring that to like DCA. I think that would be a cool little attraction off of like Buena Vista Street going into Hollywoodland or something. I think Roger Rabbit is really kind of perfect for that park with Buena Vista Street and Hollywoodland. You can pretty much bulldoze any building in Hollywoodland. No one's going to cry about it. So I'm going to do that, put that attraction in DCA. Would you be cool with that?
So I would actually, and I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I would love for them to bring Roger Rabbit back, but you actually gave me a good idea literally right now as we're sitting here, as I'm brainstorming. Because another one I was going to bring up was the Great Muppet Movie Ride, but we had discussed many times here on the channel, but as OG always says, not everybody sees all our shows, so I'm going to bring it up again.
Unfortunately, you should be watching every single show. We will be quizzing you at the end of the week, but in case you don't, we repeat ourselves. Go ahead, George.
Yeah. So in the case of the Great Muppet Movie Ride, I gave the suggestion because someone had asked, would you want to see Disney incorporate the Simpsons into the parks? Well, maybe not in the fashion that Universal has them right now, because I think no matter how you spin it, the Simpsons, Family Guy, Futurama, Bob's Burgers, like those kind of shows are great as primetime television animated series, but in the theme parks, I'm not exact sure. However, I think if they went the route, if you take old concepts like the Great Muppet Movie Ride, but do like a great Simpsons movie ride, because I'm biased, like the Great Movie Ride, that was one of my favorite attractions, not just in Disney's Hollywood Studios, but in all of Walt Disney World. I just loved that ride. I'm still bitter about that they got rid of that ride. I'm all about change. I'm all about progress. But the thing is, it didn't have to stay the way it was. They have so much like IP now from the Fox acquisitions, including The Simpsons. They could have kept changing things out of it, kept it fresh, kept it new, kept it current. But I would have done like something like where The Simpsons kind of do a parody of their versions of classic movies. I think that would have been really cool. And then you had mentioned of Baby Herman's Buggy like adventure or something. What if they took that same concept, but it was through the lens of Maggie?
Oh yeah, that's great.
And then you kind of have your little Simpsons mini land, but you would then take concepts from old possible projects, but you just wrap it around The Simpsons.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. No, that's absolutely great. The Simpsons are a very similar franchise to Muppets. Now, before everyone at home like tries to murder me because I said that, but hear me out. The Simpsons are kind of a franchise like the Muppets in that you can kind of get very meta with it.
Yeah.
So the Muppets, you can do the Great Muppet Movie Ride and have the Muppets dressed up as various characters from various films, and it works for that franchise. It works, right? But the same with The Simpsons. I mean, Disney's already doing that with The Simpsons. I mean, if you go on Disney Plus, a lot of the new Simpsons stuff, like the shorts, are like The Simpsons in like the Star Wars environment, or like they're interacting with like various Marvel characters, and it's very meta, right? Very self-aware. So I think a great Simpsons movie ride would be really fantastic. I mean, you could have like, the Lion King scene, and you can have like Homer dressed like Rafiki holding up, baby Maggie, and it would just be the cutest thing, dude. And it would be a very creative way to incorporate the Simpsons into a Disney park. I think that that's a much better approach to that franchise than let's just recreate Springfield.
Yeah,
I think that was very unimaginative. Now, to be fair to Universal, that was pre-Comcast. I think if Universal was tasked with the job right now, current Comcast was tasked with the job of creating a Simpsons area, I think it'd be much better than what we have now, right? But it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, if you went that kind of meta route and kind of did the Great Simpsons movie ride or something to that nature, it'd be so much fun, dude. I mean, so much fun. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Jay Brad, okay, friend of the channel who's been on the channel couple months ago. He had a great idea. I think it was Discovery Bay, bringing Discovery Bay back and utilizing franchises like Treasure Planet. Now, I mean, you can't get more perfect than that, bro.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I would love that. Now, here's the problem with that one. I think I mentioned in the video, Treasure Planet wasn't exactly Disney's hottest IP. So I don't know if they would go that route, but boy, that would be perfect. But what do you think about that idea?
I get Disney's approach to not utilize not so hot IP, but at the same time, Abby and I were actually having a conversation of this, and you and I have had this conversation many times. You take the show over at Universal, Waterworld.
Yeah, sure.
One of Universal's biggest blunder blockbusters, so to speak, that was supposed to be, and that was never was. You know, that movie like literally made the studio lose money. But here you have this phenomenal stunt show involving water and special effects and pyro.
I think there's OnlyFans girls that actually make more than Waterworld made.
Yeah.
The entire run. Well, that movie it was a notorious Hollywood flop. But go ahead.
But yeah, but again, it works. So I think honestly, Disney should kind of look outside the box than just what is popular at the time and kind of go back through its library and say, you know what? Even though it didn't do so well at the box office, you know, but Treasure Planet is a solid, good film. Atlantis is a solid, good film. It's like maybe if they would utilize them in the parks, it may draw people back to those films. No,
absolutely. And I've said a good way to revitalize those franchises is to make live action versions of those animated movies. You know what I'm saying? Treasure Planet did not do well at the box office as an animated film, but what if you did a live action version of that franchise? I think that would potentially be pretty badass. And I think that would work really well in live action. And what if they did that and the live action version was $1 billion movie? Well, now you just reinvigorated this once dead franchise into something very viable for you. That's a smarter move in terms of these live action remakes. Unfortunately, Disney wants the quick cash grab, so they go for like the masterpieces, right? We want to remake The Lion King. We want to remake Beauty and the Beast, and that's hard to do because those movies were so fantastic. Not to say Treasure Planet wasn't, but I think that there's more room there to improve with a movie that flopped and give it a second chance.
We're still getting nothing of the Renaissance era into the parks.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Now here, I want to ask you this, because it kind of goes into the live action thing, which I want to bring up. Beastly Kingdom, right? From what I understood, Beastly Kingdom was actually going to be like mythical creatures, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So mythical creatures. Now, here's why this is interesting. If you were to bring back Beastly Kingdom, that could theoretically be Disney's answer to the Isle of Berk over at Epic Universe. We know How to Train Your Dragon is a big franchise. You and I have both seen the stuff for How to Train Your Dragon, the bio reconstruct aerial shots and the little commercials Universal has released. It looks pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? They got a live action film coming out that looks pretty dope too. Why not bring back Beastly Kingdom and have Disney's version of mythological creatures? You could do like just about anything from Hercules. I mean, they had all kinds of crazy creatures in that movie. I mean, there's a lot you can kind of do with Beastly Kingdom. I don't know. What say you? Would you be down for that?
Yeah, actually, that was the next one I was going to mention. Yeah, because in the original concept, they were going to have centaurs and unicorns and dragons. There was going to be an attraction that was going to be called, I think it was Dragon's Tower, and then there was going to be another attraction for the unicorn, which those Imagineers, I believe, either left after the project got canceled or what have you. That's when they went over to Universal and they kind of did their renditions of it with the Dueling Dragons roller coaster and the Flight of the Unicorn. So that's where Universal kind of picked up those. Neither one of those attractions exists now. But yeah, I'd be down if Disney, you had mentioned Hercules, even though it's not as popular, but you could still do like Raya and the Last Dragon. You
Oh,
know,
that's true.
they incorporate like the dragon kind of force there. And again, and I feel like Raya, the thing with that film was I felt like it didn't get its fair share of a chance, sort of kind of like how Encanto did, because and even Soul for that matter, because I feel like those films came out at a time where, movie theaters weren't opened, and it was going strictly on Disney Plus. You had to pay for it, what have you. And I think they just kind of fell off to the wayside and people just kind of forgot about them. But again, just like how you were mentioning with Treasure Planet and Atlantis, I think if they incorporate more of those films integrated into the parks, it may draw people back onto Disney Plus and say, you know what, I want to give that movie another go, or I haven't seen it yet, but now I'm interested.
Right.
But yeah, so I think if they did like, anything with Hercules, Greek mythology is huge. I mean, you could do that. I mean, even though technically, yes, I know folks, they're not animals, but again, neither really is Expedition Everest. Yeah, it's an animal-like creature, but it's mythological. The creature that's going to be in the new Indiana Jones ride, so they could do like the Titans, because the Titans still represent earthly things. You have ice, you have lava, you have rock, you have wind. So it all kind of meshes together, in that universe. Ryan the Last Dragon, you can do you can pretty much find like something that they can kind of cook up together. I hope that they would do Beastly Kingdom again. I was really looking forward to that when they said that there was a possibility it was going to be back on the green light table, but then it kind of transitioned to Avatar. And that's what took up the place of Camp Mini Mickey, where originally Beastly Kingdom was supposed to go.
Yeah, Onward might be a cool franchise for that. I could see that franchise fitting.
That's right.
Yeah. And I'm sure Marvel has a bunch of characters in there. Like they have a bajillion characters in the Marvel universe you can pull from that would fit the Beastly, mythological sort of theme. You could do a lot, and you can use those characters as long as Universal doesn't have them represented in their park. So if you do a little more deep cut stuff, you could probably get away with some Marvel in that Beastly Kingdom. So yeah, man, I mean, there's a lot of potential there. Let me see what else Mouseward Bound had in here. Western River Expedition. This was really cool. This was a cool attraction. This was kind of like, what would you say? It was basically a Western kind of Pirates of the Caribbean, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know. Here's the thing with that. That's a tough one. There really aren't any Western franchises, and I feel like Disney's kind of getting away. I mean, they're kind of getting away from it a little bit. I mean, they're kind of going more with like the Spanish side of that whole equation, which is cool, but I don't know if they would go all in on that theme right now. And really the only IP that you could really put in there that's even remotely like relevant. I mean, Lone Ranger flopped back in like 2011 or whatever it was. That movie flopped. That's not going to ever be anything. I mean, Woody, I guess. I mean, that's it. I mean, what other cowboy thing you have right now? Nothing. I mean,
do you think now, again, it's not going to be like exactly step for step of the Western River Expedition. Again, not in the same time era, but do you think that's even kind of like the aesthetics of like what the new Cars area is going to be? Because in a sense, even though it's more modern, but could it give off what the Western River Expedition was going to be aesthetically?
Yeah, no, yeah, possible. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if Disney were to build the Western River Expedition right now, it would probably be Cars, like a Cars style thing. Yeah, that's a great point, George. Absolutely. Yeah, this is fantastic. There is so much, and this is the thing too, Mouseword, I want you to remember, and you probably know this, but like ideas never die at Disney. I mean, Walt Disney was kicking around the Little Mermaid story for a long time, and then we finally got it in 1989. Walt Disney was also wanting to do the Snow Queen, which eventually became Frozen. We eventually got it in 2013. Beauty and the Beast. He couldn't seem to crack that code, and Freak. I mean, they did. They certainly did. I mean, it's Disney's best animated film, in my opinion. They got it done for sure. So these ideas that we're listing here probably aren't dead completely, and they might resurface in some shape or form in the future. You know, I
Even
mean, obviously,
Monsters Inc.
Monster. Yeah, right.
I mean, that's been like an on again, off again for like 20 some years now, and
Villains Land. Villains Land. I mean, I remember hearing about Villains Land since like AOL dial-up, dude. I mean, that's fans been wanting Villains Land or Villains Park for like 25 plus years.
yeah.
And we're finally getting it, you know. And to your point, the door coaster. I mean, that's another one that for 20 years people have been wanting that, and we're finally getting it. So you never know. You never know. I would love to see a lot of these ideas. I think Westcot, though, Disney, if you ever watch this, I'm telling you, Westcot's that would be a moneymaker for you.
I think honestly, out of everything, that would probably be like the top notch that I think Disney could really capitalize on would be Westcot for sure.
Because you could have like Epcot, like festivals all year long. You can still do the IPs. You know, you can still put your IPs in the various continents. You could do so much. You can have a really crazy, huge Lunar New Year celebration. You can do, you know, Mexican celebrations. You can do, dang, like St. Patty's Day stuff, man. I mean, it would be wild over there. Absolutely wild. But we'll see. We'll see. I think it's a great idea. I don't know what else you could really put as a third gate. I think that would probably be the best thing you can do. That would kind of give Disneyland Resort like something that's different than the other two parks.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so we'll kind of see. But Mouse Word, this is a fantastic topic. I had a lot of fun talking about it. Really good stuff. George, anything to add before we get out of here?
Definitely great topic. It definitely, you know, sparked a conversation, you know, and I love talking this stuff because I am a Disney nerd. I love geeking out with this kind of stuff of like what almost was, what could have been, what should have been, what still might be, you know, again, as you were saying, like no good idea ever really dies at Disney. You know, they shelve it. They wait for the right time. They try out different things. They look at newer technology, and lo and behold, we may just get an announcement one day.
Yeah, you never know. I remember that. Remember the Disney Decade, and they were tossing around this idea, the Golf of Big Booty Latinas. I remember that. That was great, dude.
That. Yes, yeah. I don't know why that never. I don't know why that never left the table.
I don't either, man. I don't either. You know,
we could have literally had that in our laps.
Exactly. Come on. It's like, I want my cake and eat it too. You know what I'm saying? What can I say? But George, I want to thank you for joining today. Mr. Italiano, where can everybody at home find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. Comment down below. I would love to hear from you. J Brad, if you're watching this, I want to hear from you, bro. I know you have ideas. You have great ideas. Post them in the comments down below. Everybody at home, thank you so much for watching this episode of OG55. If you want us to make a topic dedicated, or you want us to make a video dedicated to your topic, become a member of OG55 today. Post it in the community tab, and we will make a whole video dedicated to your topic. We are men of the people. We will give you what you want. Thank you so much for watching this episode of OG55, and the Asian Queen with 3 E's will take it from here.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.